What is up, everybody? Welcome. We have to figure out check it out, man. All right. I'm not muted. I shouldn't be muted. Maybe I'm muted. I'm muted? Shouldn't be muted. I think you're deaf. I'm not muted. I've got good audio here from the microphone. I don't know why it's not showing up on Twitch, though. Dude, 15 years I've been living here, and the upstairs of my apartment never had air conditioning, and it's getting worse and worse, the heat. So right now it is 37 degrees outside and 27 degrees in here. Major difference. I'm actually going to catch cold. I'm starting to get the sniffles, but I'm not going to complain. I can think, I can focus. I'm not like dying of 100-degree heat. In my office, it is, 28. It's around 28 degrees. Yes, we have air conditioning. Sadly, I'm the only room in the house that has air conditioning. They just installed one of the units, and they're going to come back and finish it tomorrow. But we have AC, so enough to work. I've got games from Acerbate, Doctor, Chess Sucks and Then You Die. Submitted Yefim freaking Geller against Svetozar Gligoric. YFG against Sveto. The greatest Yugoslav player of all time. Then we've got a Sun Prism game, a Mule Skinner game, and an Arsenal fan game. And a late submission. Early is on time is late, and late is inexcusable. You're just barely late. Alright, what do I do with that? Am I being attacked by spiders again? Study. Alright, we entered the last game. So as a subscriber, you now have the right What is this? This better be normal chess. It's not. Oh, no. No. What is that? It's a joke? Is it another form of chess? Alright. I'm just enjoying my new air conditioning unit. Alright, anyway, that's for later. It's just a joke. Let's see. The fastest way to checkmate with the king. Cute. Mirth against Sakruk. This is standard. Braided bullet game. Mr. Coffee, 92 months. The Bomb Cloud attack. 92 months, Mr. Coffee. If you're 92 months, what does that make move 11? How the heck is Mr. Coffee not a founder? A mere 92 months. All right, Mr. Coffee. I told you I'm coming to the States in September. We got the AC on. You see that? Why is my seriously, why is my camera so cloudy looking? Like my hand. Why does my camera look so cloudy? Maybe they got dust on it when they were drilling a hole in the wall. Maybe it's like drywall dust. That is... September should be good for you. I'm coming to the U.S. September 25. I'm staying in Massachusetts. All right. We will talk later. So let's start with Astrobate. We had a bonus stream yesterday. For those of you that missed it, I just missed winning the Daily Rapid Arena, the last possible second, and finished second. All right, I'm gonna get started here. So, Astrobate versus GH750011, 17 kilohertz per second. I can actually think because I'm not like struggling with 97-degree heat, and so UPSC Aspirant has submitted a game, but I need to see your driver's license. I need to know that people are subscribers. USPC, I call them. UPSC. Hold on a second. I don't need a fan on with the air conditioning unit as well. I'm getting like blasted with too much cool air at this point. It's too cool in here. I need to see your license. If you are a subscriber, you guys, please confirm or deny, and I will accept your games. So Astrobate is first. My mind is working like a metal trap. Steel. We also need your social security number. Alright. So this is the ready opening. Ray-T, Ricard. This is the real ready opening. Not, knight f3. That's just a move. It's a transpositional move. Calling it the Zuckertort opening for me is kind of, I don't know. Sounds a little bit made up by some Redditor. In any case, knight f3, d5, c4. Astrobate gifting a tier 1 sub to not Pabu. So not Pabu is now a subscriber. c4. Black plays d4. This is Black's best move. That's a weird Mexican thing. Wait, I thought social security numbers were Mexican. I thought social security numbers were just for Mexicans. This feels like a South Park episode. Why the hell does anyone want to immigrate to the United States? Alright, no, I am closing that. So knight f3, d5. I'm a reverse migrant. Knight f3, d5. The same thing with Hungary. Why would anyone want to, nobody wants to migrate to Hungary. They just want to, go through Hungary to go somewhere else. Knight f3, d5, c4, d4. So Astrobate, have you played this before? Because I told him about this b4 idea. Sorry. Let's see how many games he actually has here. I'm curious, because there can't be too many. He's relatively new to doing this. I figure we'll see a handful. Okay, he's got 7. So notice they're all new. This is new. Acerbate latest. He's got some wins here against UPSC. Another 1550. He lost to CalArt, 2300. Another 1700. So Acer has a winning score. 5 out of 7. That's impossible. 4 out of 7. Not A3. No, he just does that when he doesn't know what to do. Hungary, it's like the gas station of Europe. Oh, that's weird. Wait, what are you joking about now? That's Russia. Yeah, it's the gas station of Europe. Okay, Russia is the gas station of the world, and therefore Hungary is the gas station of Europe. Sort of. We don't really have any oil here. So it's more like a rest stop than a gas station. It's like a rest stop without the gas station, without the gas pumps. Just a rest stop. Alright, so Acerbate, thanks for the gift sub. B4. It's kind of loud, but I like it. Imagine White wants to play it like a Benko. Well, that happens sometimes. So now, and we could get very Benko-like because Black chose to play... No, Black didn't. The master level, the main move is C5. That's a little subtle for the average player. So here Black plays C6, not great. So the moves that are commonly played. F6, Bishop G4, and, you know, I would imagine Knight F6 is played fairly often. This one, I'm a little surprised by how many games there are. So this got a good following and a very good score for Black. G5. Well, it's a Grob. Grab him by the Grob. White is best knowing what they're doing. So if you take the pawn, obviously Black plays E5. Morozevich. So how's G5 score with the computer? It's top 5. 5th best line. H3. Recognized by the pros as the best move for White. Counterintuitive. Anyway, so C6. So what's the point of C6? Oh no. I don't get why my donations come as anonymous. Well, actually, that's the first time. You want to scroll back to your last donation? Oh no, that's 2 in a row. Our Brenton 1 was our Brenton 1. Well, you were anonymous. And before that, you were Mr. Death Sweat. So at some point in the last week, you became anonymous. But you're not anonymous to us. But you're not allowed to like make up funny names anymore. Must be a European tax law. 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 donation. Yeah, they're probably trying to crack down on fraudulent Steam Labs tips going to support rebels and in the African Congo or something. I'll try again for your pleasure. Try again for my pleasure. Guys, look at that. He's going to try again for pleasure. We got anonymous tip 3456. Bring us up to 1,234.56. Get it? All right, anyway. Mr. Slow, thank you. You're not anonymous in our book. But I do think it's interesting that Richard Brenton got R. Brenton 1 there the same day that you were already anonymous. I'll have to ask him if it was different for him. Okay. He's not usually here on analysis stream days, though. So C6, I just don't really know what C6 does. Did you guys see that, by the way? Just a question. The computer thinks that C6 is black's 4th best move. When I'm even having trouble figuring out, like, what the fuck does C6 even do? You know? It's like you wanted to play C5, but you couldn't reach. Your arms are too short. You're preventing B5. I mean, what does it do? I don't even understand what it does. It prevents Queen A4 check. Maybe it allows E5 without Queen A4 check. Mr. So is anonymous. He has Legion. Alright, C6. Now, Bishop E2. Oh, I think I saw Astrobate something about this. Okay. So, I expected, like, E5. And then if you take it, he can try to take your pawn. I mean, my point would be, maybe the point is that this isn't check. I mean, if that were check, I would most likely win a piece. But I still don't know if it's worth it for black to sacrifice the central pawn here. He doesn't know. He sacrifices a different central pawn. Bruh, I was like, what is this guy doing? WJ Loof, welcome. It opens the knight's diagonal. No. Good guess, though. I've been getting more fundraising emails from Fetterman. Like 3 now. Alright. D3. Have to look for a color rendering. Strange. The only question is, like, do we want to just take it? Or maybe, like, try to win it under even better circumstances? We could play E3. And then try to surround this with a smooth structure. I mean, white's position is so good that I think that E3 might actually be a pretty decent move. Keeping your structures perfectly smooth and fluid. But Aspie says, no, you can rip my structure asunder into 2 parts. I don't care. And I think that both moves are good. This is also a good move. Now black plays E6. Totally lame. Totally lame. I mean, he lost his central pawn. Now his bishop is, like, blocked in on C8. Increasing his knight's diagonal. Now he's finally threatening to play bishop takes b4. And Sung Prism, guess what he played? A3. And now black with another horrible move. Okay, I can't stomach this guy's play much longer. So we're going to have to go a little faster. B6, super lame. So I was thinking you just bust the D4 on him. But I could see how Astrobate doesn't want to close this diagonal down. You went bishop E2. The ultimate bishop. Bishop E7. And now, of course, we can't play any sort of routine move. If I submit a game I played under Anonymous, can you try and guess my ELO? Only for a subscriber. Oh, he's a subscriber. Wow. I guess the answer is yes. That would be yes. J-Tot 94. Absolutely. We can try that. To guess the elo. Sounds fun. Bishop e7. Terrible play by black. 95. Don't develop your castle or anything. And now 97. Challenging your knight. And that's why I hate playing 95 a lot of times. All you're doing is like trading off your own knight. You know, what did that do for you? What did that do for you lately? So 95, you wasted time on a move that simply like trades pieces. I think Astrobai's advantage just went down considerably. Because he wasted time with this 95 leading to nothing but an exchange of pieces. And just when black's position is like almost looking like it might not be that bad, he plays h6. And it's like, what are you doing, bruh? What is that? That's horrible. Wasting time, weakening your position. Honestly, Astrobait, at this point, I would give serious consideration to me pulling the bishop back. That's more time. But we really need to get the knight developed. But you're gonna have to put your bishop on a strange square here. But I'll give you credit. I'll say this, man. After knight c3, your bishop is awkwardly placed, but this guy doesn't want to play f6. So I think he should probably really objectively have no great way to take advantage of the bishop on e5. f6 is out of the question. It's too weak on the light squares after h6. He cannot punish Astrobait for bishop on e5. Okay, Power of the New again. If anybody wants to submit a game, I have to know if you're a subscriber. On Twitch, you're not a subscriber on Lichess. That's not a thing. Lichess thinks that's a thing. That's not a thing. All right, now I can get the game here. You might have to wait a little while. We'll see. Oh, it's a bullet game. That's going to be a little tough. I would prefer longer games. All right, study. Hey. Did I add it? Add a new chapter? It's in there. Is it in there or is it in there? It's in there. Okay. Mr. Slowhand. Oh, that's for him. I think I got it. Thanks, Mr. Slow. So, going back to Astrobait's conclusion, I think bishop e5 is okay. Blocking it out with knight c3 was okay, because this is a very bad move. Kaplang, that's enough. Maybe his best try is like bishop d6, and if you do that, I think you should play d4. And actually this looks... Well, actually, maybe black isn't that bad here. We'll have to defend the pawn with f4, and it's illegal. You still have some advantage. Rook e1, queen e5, d4. It's a good Scandinavian. Well, it's still even up a pawn. Now it's equal 7-7. Okay, never mind. Whatever. All right, knight f6. Why didn't he just play that last move? And now what are you doing, knight e4? Build your position. I guess it's not so easy with the double pawns here. You could move your queen. I mean, it's not exciting, but something like queen c2. You could try this extreme d4, making your bishop. Yeah, this d4. Why not d4, Astrobait? Actually, d4 looks good. If he goes knight d7, you just back up. No problem. You should have just played d4. Again, another waste of time trading pieces. Knight d7. Yeah, well, that was a mistake, probably. Still refusing to play d4. And now you played d4, finally. I know this was hard to play because you didn't want to block your bishop. But it's such an important move. Boom. Losing a piece. Is it, though? Is it losing a piece? So, all right, hold on a second here now. You know, another idea, well, our knight is attacked, so. Shit. Check. G6. Bishop takes, rook takes, queen h5. Almost wins, but black has king f7. And then you need a really good move. So let's try d5. So I say we go bishop h5 check, g6, bishop takes g6, rook takes g6, queen h5, forcing king f7, and then we seem like we very likely might have the shot, which is just a beautiful move. Opening up this guy, also opening up the queen, opening up the, hopefully opening up the position with the king on f7. When it's very hard to see, it's very hard to see a defense here for black. I do not think that black can defend here. That is a beautiful position. He cannot defend after d5. Why not f3? It's more of a hope chess. This is more direct. You know, f3 is like, it's a passive move in by nature. You could play other moves, rook e1, f3, but no, this is strong because we're threatening to win directly with pawn takes pawn. Black isn't like Zugzwang. It's not Zugzwang. Wow. He has one move. Holy shit. This would have been tough. Yeah, d5 is the only move. You know that? He has one move. And then you have one winning move. One really winning move. Which would be fucking hard to see. I think Aspey could do it, though. If anybody could do it, he could do it. So this didn't happen because black, after bishop h5 check, black was a coward and played king d8. Well, now white doesn't even have to sacrifice a piece. He plays bishop f7. Okay. Rook h8. Now what? Yeah, you're going to have to move the knight or sacrifice it, but yeah, why sacrifice it? It's unnecessary. He moves the knight. Now e6 is practically impossible to defend. King e7. No way. That's it. And now f5 goes. f4. Plays f4. And now you played knight h5. Lots of possibilities here. Yeah, knight f5. It's not clear where it's going to go from there. So I like this. He trades. And why is black lost? Because his king is in the middle of the board and he's down 2 pawns. Very fundamental stuff. Good game, Masturbate. There it is. Perfect. Look at those bishops, man. This is crushing. He's getting stronger. Slowly but surely, Masturbate is getting stronger. Nice bishops. Damn, bro. What a beautiful game. All right. So, we got a new subscriber who asked me to guess. Yeah. You post the game, once you check out the game and guess. Yeah, but this is for our new subscriber, J4. Which color are you? You black won. The game I got is from black's perspective. So should I assume you're black? Okay. Alright, we'll see. All right, so D3 offbeat opening. Whatever. It's a bullet game. Now, this is an unsound pawn sacrifice that would lead me to believe that black is an amateur player. I don't think a strong player would play this, even in bullet. But you never know. There could be some tricky, weird gambits people play. You know, tricks that bullet players do. I'm not going to say you're a weak player because you played D5. It's an extreme, weird bullet move. Bishop D2. Yeah, we'll try to guess like a concrete rating. D4. This looks solid. The whole hog. I would very slightly prefer knight c6. And now knight g3. I don't think your opponent is necessarily bad. Knight e7. That's a flexible move. And then you castled. But personally, they're playing this kind of Philidor Black Lion crap, I would prefer to remain flexible. And then white just castled. It was like he was waiting for you to castle the castle. Now I like h6, taking away all the squares. Over here, plays this. And now c3. Oftentimes white playing this type of setup is so much worse that, yeah, it's bullet. White is oftentimes so much worse that they don't have any alternative but to make this anti-positional break. But, you know, this is an important diagonal. Again, I think you should play h6 at some point to guard so you can play bishop e6 without getting hit by knight g5. So what did you do? Here. And then f5 anyway. So there's a very reckless move. Probably white. I would assume white is very likely got something here on the white squares. He takes on f5. Not a move I'm necessarily a fan of, but okay. And then he takes on d4 again. Not a move I'm necessarily a fan of. But white's got to try to do something there. And you took with the knight. Again, it's a bullet game, not going to overjudge, but, you know, I think that a really strong player, is going to take mostly with a pawn, with c-pawn here. This allows white to free himself. You allow white to trade, you know, a set of pieces. Although, yeah, it was actually a bad exchange by white, and, you know, he should have gone with knight g5 early and often. I mean, this is a serious threat. Either knight g5 or queen b3 check followed by knight to g5, when you have to be pretty creative to come up with a way not to lose material, which is probably queen e8. However, even there, you know, I think positionally white is likely better. Unless there's this, which there is. Though even that is complicated. Okay, whatever. So, cd4. Maybe knight takes wasn't so bad. Bishop f3. Yeah, white's starting to make like random moves because it's bullet. Now black is clearly better. Very good square for your bishop on d5. Now he breaks, but it's too late, and black has e4. You haven't made any blatant mistakes. This move is better than, say, pushing the pawn, keeping flexibility, or are you allowing knight h5. Now he has f5. White has f5, which might or might not win. Well, I mean, it's important because if I'm trying to guess the rating, Not sure you have a lot of choices here. But maybe queen h6. He misses this move. I think this move wins. Maybe not. You can move the queen. Maybe I'm wrong. You can move the queen. And f6, you still have the bishop holding f7. It looks like you might not be lost, actually. Wow. All right. So anyway, queen g6, knight takes g7, and then e3, threatening mate in 1. Very deep. Rook c2, white sees it. d3, rook b2, e2, and that's crushing. So, yeah, I mean, I'm of the impression that black is not a weak player. White definitely the weaker player, and I know it's bullet, but you get a pretty clear impression in this game that black is the stronger player. From my perspective, yeah. One more quick look. I mean, you get a wide range, really, from one game. But it's going to take some luck to guess your rating. But what are we talking about here? Are we talking about bullet rating? You want me to guess your bullet rating? Or you want me to guess your, like, real rating? Does this even make a difference? Is there really a difference? Yeah, bullet rating. You have 18 seconds left, by the way. I didn't even look at the clock. The opening was played extremely fast. I don't really play bullet, but yeah. So he was way behind on the clock too. Yeah. No, I mean, if it's bullet rating, it's got to be higher. I think 2,000. I'd go even higher than Arsenal fan. But if I'm over, I'm over. I'm going to say 2,000. I'm going to say 2,000 in bullet. But I mean, you know, if you told me anywhere between 1,600 and 2,300, I mean, you have to believe it. Guess my rating, sire. Oh no. I'm too low. Well, it's like, you know, Arsenal fan is playing Price is Right as a fellow contestant, and then he guesses 1,900, so he ruined it. You know, he totally, like, set the base. He set the base price at 1,900. Yeah. But asking to guess people's bullet ratings, dude, that's not like guessing like standard ratings or something. All right. A lot of variance there. And you're asking the wrong person in the bullet department. Ask me to guess someone classical rating. All right, Mr. Slow. What is that? What? Copy PGN. Copy chapter PGN. Chapter PGN. No. Chapter PGN. Copy PGN. Fine. Learn. Study. Alright, guys. We're not here to guess the ratings. We're supposed to be analyzing games. But I'm humoring a new subscriber with this. With Mr. Slow, I'll make an exception, as always. I already know your rating. How do I guess the rating when I already know your rating? That's not fair. Yeah, no, I mean, Arsenal threw it. I'm going to blame Arsenal. I don't know what I would have said if Arsenal hadn't set a range. I might have even said lower. But the problem is psychologically, when someone sets the bar at 1900, it puts this pressure on you to guess somewhere in that range, you know? So I wasn't going to go over like 2300. I wasn't going to go under 1600. Yeah. All right, Mr. Slow. Let's see. Well, we can play this like not guess the rating. We can say appraise. I'll do rating appraisal. I'll appraise your play. What's the time control? Casual bullet game. Oh no. Oh no. We're doing bullet game appraisals. Mr. Slow is white though. Bullet game rating appraisals. How much is it worth? It's like Antiques Roadshow. No, that's Nimzovich. The original move that Nimzovich played when he created this variation. Well, I don't know if he really created it. I think he might have even done that against me once. I don't think you're castling kingside. Black's pretty solid, though. A5. Wonder what I would have played. I don't know, man. I think A5's okay. It's a little bit overly optimistic from my perspective. I think developing with like Queen D7, so that looks a little bit better to me. I don't love A5, G5, A4, H4, very creative, and then A3. And now not B3 but B4. B4 prevents knight A5. Now here's a nice move, D5. Black's clearly not a bad player. I know who white is. Black is like Peter Spidler. No. Who plays the Petrov? Shirov? Black is Kramnik and white is Mr. Slow. D4. And no bad player would play knight A7. I'm not sure if any good players would play it. The ghost of Emery Tate. No, knight A7. Alright. Emery wouldn't play the Petrov. Knight A7. Here. Knight B5. I don't know if I mind trading. I don't know if I mind trading. You could take that knight. You know. What if Black plays F6 now? Oh, his knight's hanging. Okay. So you just went all in. He pulls the trigger on F6. Boris Gelfand-like. And now wait. It's a queen sacrifice. Queen takes H7. No. Knight G6. Positional piece sacrifice. No. I mean, the intuitive thing to do is just take. But it's kind of lame, you know? This is the first moment where you're like, hey, maybe there's some brilliancy here. G6 followed by H6. But that's hard to play in a bullet game. You need time to calculate, and you just don't have it. Knight F7. Imagine if Knight F7 worked. Dude, how sick would that be? This is so close to working. No, it's not. Never mind. Too much drugs. Alright. Oh, what? Homie took back with the pawn. What? Speaking of drugs. He took back with the pawn. If you take back with the pawn here, you're fucking materialistic and you need to have your like priorities evaluated. The dude played a pretty good game until pawn takes S6. That is a pathetic materialistic move. He has a minute 39 left, and he plays pawn takes f6. Who plays pawn takes f6, dude? Like, you gotta take with the queen. This is a no-brainer. This is a total no-brainer. You're hitting the bishop. Your f-file's good. If he has to drop back to g3, then there's no g-file attack for him. It's insane, you know, to play pawn takes. He's like, oh, I'm going to win a piece. You can play knight g6, first of all. I mean, right? This is like easy solution to not lose material. Instead, you played this first, which is actually probably pretty strong. Oops. And now knight g6 check. And he has 4 seconds left. But is there increment? No. No, it is. Oh, this is 2 + 1. There's 1 second increment, boys. 1 second increment. Game over. Now, let's make sure here. Is it though? So you have bishop takes d6. Oh, it's check. Oh no. Oh no. Damn. I was so fixated on taking with the queen, but it's not good enough because he, you know, trade, take with queen. If you trade here, he plays like queen takes g6, and then queen f4. No, that doesn't work. Yeah, queen f4 check. Yeah, exactly. So queen f4 check, king moves, and then not there. King moves somewhere. Actually doesn't have a good square. But anyway, it's no good. So you didn't play that. You have h takes g check, king over. Now, there's a really nice line here, obviously. If king g8, we may or may not have rook h8 check, followed by queen h3. I mean, here, again, I think this is fine, right? Doing things the hard way. Hard away. Now, you gotta be kidding me. Hanging out with the boys with queen h7 check. This dude reported you for cheating. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you did that. I mean, it's so obvious to just, like, you know, discover on him and mate him on h8. That's so easy to do. Like, a child could do it. So not only you sacked your queen, but you did the ultra fancy queen as well. And then not bishop f8. This is, I guess, doesn't matter. Either way, bishop f8 or bishop g7. That's a nice game. Yeah, I'm going to guess. When was this played? 2025. I'm going to guess your bullet rating is like 1,700. But if, in honesty, I would say you were like 2,300. Mr. Slow. If I didn't know your bullet rating was relatively low, I would say it was like 2,300. Will you review my games? Only for subscribers. And there's a list. So you have to be on the menu. If you're a subscriber, you'll have a chance. But we've got a lot of games already. Maybe there's time for one more. If some, you know, and you have to be a subscriber, so please subscribe. All right. Mr. Slow, 2,300 or 1,700, whichever comes first. Nice game, though. Did you just play this? This is fresh. It's a couple weeks ago. You just subscribed. He just subscribed. If we get any more subscribers, I'm gonna have not enough time for all these games. Send me the game either in personal message or, DM, or on the stream is fine too. We're gonna try to get to our games. I'm gonna try to do the players who are here first. If there are people who are not here submitting games, they'll have to wait. I'm gonna go in order of who sent them in and if they're here or not. I've got a serious game from Senor Anonymous. This is our big master game of the night. But thank you for subscribing. All right, master game of the night is, let's see the year. 1970, Belgrade. It's Geller against Gligoric. Every single game that Mr. Slow is sending me from his series is from Geller's book, of course, but they're all Roy Lopez's. So it's like Mr. Slow is like specializing in studying the Roy Lopez, apparently. I don't remember. Maybe Geller put the games in opening order. I've got the book around, somewhere. The Application of Chess Theory, it was called in English. Yeah, maybe they were in opening order. Okay. So Geller's white against Gligoric. And if you guys don't know, both of them are great players. Would it be safe to say Gligoric was the greatest Yugoslav player of all time? Would that be fair to say? Or am I forgetting someone? I mean, yeah, there's other exciting players and stuff. But objectively, maybe Gligoric was the strongest Yugoslavian grandmaster of all time. With some close, company, but... Alright, so... that's how the book starts. Alright. So, Geller's white, e45, knight f3, knight 6, bishop b5. The Spanish is much more subtle than the... I mean, it's more subtle than bishop c4, I think. But it's also less direct. I mean, this is a much more natural move because we're attacking the weak point in f7. But I won't say it's better. I think some could possibly argue that somehow bishop c4 is better. I don't know what the computer says. By playing bishop b5, we have several points. We can lure black into overextending his pawns. We're indirectly attacking the e5 pawn, even though we can't win it right away. It will be a point at some stage. a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castles, and bishop e7. So this is like the starting position for the closed Roy Lopez, right? And rook e1 is our main move. Now black usually plays b5, but it's possible to play d6, which in his book on the Roy Lopez, the German Schachverlag, it's called the Rubinstein variation, I think, oddly enough. Anyway, that's kind of rarely played. So b5 is usually almost universal. Bishop e3. And now black can play castles or d6. Castles leaves possibility of the Marshal. Gligoric just plays d6. He said, I don't... Marshal wasn't as popular back in the 70s. Early 70s. 70, certainly. So c3, main line. Castles. By the way, black's a very strong player. He wrote a great book, Gligoric, called I Play Against Pieces. It has a very strange title, but it's like his annotated games, and the title is basically saying like he doesn't play against the man, he plays against the board or whatever, So anyway, h3, and now black played h6. So as you can see, knight a5, knight b8, bishop b7, rook e8, knight e7, h6. Maybe that was fashionable at this time. it's not so fashionable today. One thing that is funny is that the top 2 games of all time played with this move, black won. Kind of a weird coincidence. So, because h6 is inherently like a little bit of a slow move, it doesn't make a lot of sense to play anything but d4. Now black has to decide how to hold his e5 pawn, because if you trade it off, you lose the center. I mean, it's not double attacked at the stage yet, but still. We've got to think about maybe reinforcing that pawn somehow. And this move fails. I've had people play... I mean, I'm not 100% sure this fails, but I'm obviously like bishop b5 can be very dangerous. So rook e8. And I talked about this last time, where black can play the bishop to b7, and black can play the bishop, black can play the bishop to d7, and this is not a very sexy square. Aggressive players tend to look at, I always looked at the Spanish where this bishop is more actively placed. It also guards the pawns that are extended on a6 and b5. But when I tried to play the black side of the Royal Pez a little bit, I had a renewed appreciation for this, because defending this diagonal is actually quite beneficial for black in a lot of cases. The problem is this, what I call, spacing. So the spacing of black's pieces, when the pieces are too close together, then they tend to not coordinate well. Yeah, Arsenal's bishop e3 is also a move. Yeah, it also defends b5, and it also keeps an eye on the a4 push. But I think the downside of bishop d7, although it's solid, is that, again, these pieces are there are too many pieces in too small of a space, and so they're overlapping each other a lot. I guess rook e8 is the best move. It's also flexible, so you don't commit yourself here. This is a useful move in almost all cases. It attacks e4 indirectly, defends e5. f7's okay. There's no sacrifices. And we can oftentimes play bishop f8, maybe future g6, bishop g7, turning into a King's Indian. I've got another... All right, there's our guy, the new subscriber. Whatever, copy. All right, and back to our game. So, yeah, just thinking about these positions, I find very interesting. Rook e8, knight d2, and so we had a similar game. We were looking at something similar last week, maybe the last one. The last time. The very small sample size of 8 games with bishop d7, black is undefeated. I don't remember. I feel like I pointed that out last time. We're talking about a micro small sample size. Black has not lost a game. Well, yeah, they did. They lost some transpose. But still, black has a pretty good score with this bishop d7 move. But like, who's gonna play rook e8 and then play bishop d7? I mean, it makes much more sense to play bishop f8. And now the thing is, you got pressure on the c4. So white, one of the things that surprises me about the Spanish, you think like white has more space, he has a lot of options. It's surprising how few moves white really has in these types of positions. Literally just a handful. So you can't just do anything, like you could play king h1 or something, but eventually black is gonna increase the pressure on our center. We're the one with the center, and we have to keep it protected. So the little bit surprising thing here, this is the number 1 move. But the reason why it's surprising is because it looks like we're dropping control of e4. But again, the trick is this bishop d5. So if black tries to win a pawn, you got bishop d5, skewering the knights. So white momentarily leaves protection of e4 weak, knowing he could redeploy the knight to g3. Knight g3, it solidifies e4. But I want to suggest the possibility of other moves. This move is played. This move reinforces e4, but it takes the pressure off of d5. This means that it might be easier for black to play. It might be easier for black to play d5 at some point. We also, don't have a lot of tricks and tactics. I would think here, by the way, if black plays something like knight b8, we might transpose to a Breyer variation. Say knight bd7, bishop b2. I guess not. All right, anyway. What are alternatives? Bishop c2. Pretty much that's it. Knight f1. Now, what's the problem with knight f1? A lot of times you put it on g3, and then black plays g6, and I always feel like, well, it has nowhere to go. The knight is often badly placed on g3. Knight's on knight 6 because they don't have, let's say black plays here, play knight g3, black plays g6. Now it's like, now what do we do? My knight can't go to f5, can't go to h5. This is a very common type of position. But let's see what Gligorich does. So he does play bishop b7. Yeah, everything is tender, Everything is tender. The more pawn moves you make, you slightly weaken your position, right, with black. But here it's interesting. So this is the number one move. But I don't think it was back in 1970. I would be willing to bet. You can see the statistics here. Bishop d7, 262 games. If we get ChessBase fired up, it's probably closer. Because ChessBase would have more older games. But I'm going to bet that in 1970, this wasn't the main move. Probably Gligorich was very theoretical. This is the more common move. It's more active. Pieces are more spaced out. You have pressure against there. But the problem is this f5, for example, like I'm saying, guarding f5 might be important at some point. There's also attacking potential on this diagonal, in some cases. So I just don't think this is an automatic move. And it's very interesting that bishop d7 is played more. There's a million Ivan Sokolov games here, for example. What about bishop b7? Do you see any names? Sokolov as well. All right, anyway. That's it. That's all the options you have. If you try to do something like a5, white will just steamroll your light squares. Black, I suppose, could play a waiting move. Let's say like rook b8. Is this so bad? It's probably not so bad, All right, bishop b7, knight g3, and now Gligorich is still in book. So notice that Gligo, well, maybe he agrees with you. g6 is definitely a move. Yes, these pawns are getting kind of squishy, but everybody's protected, and it's not so hard. It's not so easy to get more pressure on f7. What are you going to do? Cheapo with knight h4. Not a very strong following, that move. Kind of superficial. a4, and now knight a5. Again, I would kind of wonder about rook b8. Just what's up, bro? There's a problem here. Wow. Take knight h4 is now very strong. Why? Why is it so strong so suddenly? So we just have no way to protect g6. King g7, anyone? Not a good idea. That's interesting. So let's take a second to understand this. Why is knight h4 right away not as strong? There's only one reason why. blocking the diagonal. Then we have to go full Rudolph Spielmann, Mr. Slow. Man. The computer actually likes this for white. E takes D. Yeah, well, Kamil Dragun knows what to do. Knight A5. Apparently not. Wow, even a strong grandmaster didn't know what to do. Wow. This line is actually looking quite dangerous. So, okay, G6 is bad. I think we can safely say it's just bad. Well, that's subtle. Here's another move that we saw last time. Okay, you don't have to have a heart attack because white's advantage is like 0.8. That's pretty much like every variation of the King's Indian. Closed positions are very different from open positions. I would be much more worried if it was an open position and white's advantage is like 0.8. Alright. Knight A5. Bishop C2. And now black to play. And by the way, we saw earlier, Geller played this line with black too. So he knows both colors. But I'll tell you guys a secret, right? Not really a secret, but one of my favorite books, Alexei Swayton, the Modern Chess Opening Theory book, you know, he basically advocates the Spanish as, you know, being a Soviet-era chess grandmaster and coach. Swayton wrote a lot of books on the Spanish, and he advocated the Spanish as the number one opening that black study. So you've got players like this era, Geller probably knows this opening, as well as his other favorites like the King's Indian. All right, Bishop C2, Knight C4, and now B3, Knight B6. We both have knights on Knight 3, and now A4 is white's number one move here. Here's an uninspiring move. If you played at E3, you block your protection of E4, right? Karpov played Zaitsev, but he also played other stuff too. He played the Breyer as well. He played different stuff. Yeah, man, I have a hard time playing this with the bishop on B2. This looks almost identical to a game I had on the stream in my simul like 3 weeks ago. I hate putting my bishop on B2 because it's the same thing. Like you end up with nothing on this diagonal. You know, it seems like that whole diagonal is weak. And so I made a mistake in my game where I played C4 too early. So black played knight on BD7, and it became a Breyer, essentially. That's what happened here. And so we transposed to Walter Brown. This is like a year before I was born. Walter Brown against Gligorich from 1971. They followed the same game a year later. Rip Walter. Walter was an interesting guy to have dinner with. All right. Anyway, no, he was fun. I like battling with Walter. We played a couple times. So white now plays Queen D2. I would think like our main plan is to go for C4. So one suggestion might be to like put the bishop on D3 to support, you know, C4. This is not out of the question, but there's so much pressure on E4 You know, I'm not sure we can be moving that bishop to b3. a4 is normal. That's what Brown played. When Brown was younger, he always played e4, and later he switched to playing d4. Alright, so knight on bd7, now queen d2. I think this is a bit of an unusual move, but it's interesting to me because I did mention the weakness along this diagonal. And Arsenal is talking about queen d3, which makes a lot of sense. There's, of course, you know, but your queen is also more vulnerable on d3. So this, I've never seen this exact idea before. He has this, and he has some view of this. What exactly is Black going to do? g6? What if he plays g6? I mean, the main idea is to play rook d1, I assume. But you don't probably want to commit to that too early because you don't know. Maybe a4, maybe rook d1. I like queen d2. It's kind of balanced move. But I was wondering about g6. Now there's no knight h4 crap. Why can't Black play g6? Prepares knight h4. I'm not really getting that. What does queen d3 have to do with knight h4? Not sure I understand the point, the connection between playing queen d3 and knight h4. But I don't see what's wrong with g6 here. I mean, white no longer has anything on this diagonal. I mean, you could sacrifice a piece if that's your intention to play knight h4, knight f5. Absolutely. But, you know, that's a piece. In the previous position, it was much more like immediate. How did Gay get out of the 1200 bracket? You learned the chess. So queen d2, c5. I'm a little surprised by this move because it's not too flexible. But Black is apparently not afraid of d5. So if c5, d5, White apparently has like a massive space advantage. Computer is like 0.8. But it was already 0.8, you know. You know, c5 is normal, but you can only play it once. Well, there's no reason, I guess there's no reason to play g6 necessarily. You got to play something. You know, okay, c5 fighting for the center. What if d5? Then what do we do? What would Black do? Would he play knight b6, c4, a5, bishop c8? But anyway, Geller just keeps the tension, which I think is fine. And then a very strange move by Grigorich. My opinion. A bit of a strange move, right? Queen out to the side of the board. Completely committing one's queen. So he's threatening to take the pawn. And now the rook, you know, has to go back to a1 to defend in some cases. White doesn't want to do that. He's leveraging this exchanging queens. My first thought, is there any case where we can allow him to take the a pawn and trap his queen? Could this be allowed in some case? Well, if he takes the pawn, we play rook a1, queen takes b2, and rook b1. So we can actually trap his queen. You know, if I play d5, for example, queen a2, rook here, queen takes, rook here, and bye-bye, Mr. Queen or Mrs. Queen. Whether black gets enough material for the queen is another question. You know, get a rook, a pawn, and a piece. So that's an issue. I know I've seen this game before. Now, d takes c5. For some reason, whenever I looked at Gligorich's games, I think I was looking at the black side. I play through games and I look from one side or the other, and it always looks like a different game when I analyze the game from the other side. Now, you can't take with a knight because of b4, obviously. I mean, the queen being on a5. Otherwise, it would be an option. He has to take back with the pawn, which is a normal move. And then c4. So, if you take the pawn, rook a1, again, the queen is trapped. This loses a queen for a pawn, a piece, and a rook. So black, to be honest with you, I really think that, you know, you kind of need to trade queens here. The queen's misplaced. I don't see a reason not to trade queens. I understand, okay, white has an open file. Is that really enough for white to have a serious advantage here? c4 is caving. Is this really that bad for black? I guess knight f5, knight d6. Alright, anyway, okay. He decides not to trade queens. Keeps the tension. No. Alright. If you're not going to trade queens here, then I'll ask this question. Why play b4? Why not just go back? I mean, he's, I guess, concerned about this type of stuff. I don't know which is better, queen b6 or queen c7. Queen b6. It's also a... I don't like b4. I mean, I really don't. You know, it's kind of committal. It doesn't clear to me like what black's doing. White has a3, a4 on the queen side. We're better on the king side. It's the A-guard joke, you know. White is better on the king side. Better, a little bit better in the center. I just don't really like b4. Computer doesn't mind it. But to be fair, all of the moves are very close. Queen takes queen is the best move according to Stockfish. b4 is second. Queen b6 and queen c7 and even queen b4, which no one in their right mind would consider. Yeah, that move is not so good apparently. Surprisingly, right? I can guarantee you that Gligorich did not consider playing queen b4. But going back, keeping the tension is a definite possibility. So anyway, he goes here, and then a4. Yeah, Geller didn't want to, you know, the big threat for black, by the way, is to play a5, a4. Magnus did that to me in a rapid game. This, like, lobster claw thing. So Geller's like, screw that, that's not happening. I'm just going to focus on the king side to the center. If white gets this in, well, if he gets somehow a knight to d5, it's going to be very powerful. Maybe Gligorich can try to do the same thing, but see, how does he get... How the heck is black going to play, you know... Oh, queen c7 is a start. He defends e5. So black would like to play knight b8, knight c6, knight d4. White would like to play a knight to d5, but how do we get a knight to d5 when e4 is pressured by two pieces? So he goes knight f5, knight b8 was played. We're also threatening knight here, knight. Knight b8, threatening knight c6, knight d4. Did I say I like bishop d7? Why not play a3 and create a connected passer? Not that connected passer, protected passer. It's not that simple, because even if he has protected passer, you would possibly be giving black like the c5 square. I'm not that sure about that. I think he went for the more concrete option, which was easier to narrow down, what would happen. But I expected this knight b8 thing, and now there's a shot. So he takes on e5, which looks like it's not good. Normally this would be a bad exchange. Two very active minor pieces in the middle game against, for a rook and a pawn, that doesn't seem good, right? This looks like an absolutely bad idea strategically, but the problem is, for the moment, black's pieces are all in the back row. So it was a opportunistic moment. f4, and now where to go? We're threatening to roll it with e5. No strong point. Here, why e6? I don't know, but this is the point. When you lose your strong point, the opponent can push through it. So that's why we don't want to lose our strong point. Now I've got all kinds of shit here. This diagonal, the e4 square, control of d5, the d file, everything. A wedgie with two pawns. Black is totally on his back foot. Look how these pieces are just totally inactive. And whites are all very active. Material is equal. Now next move I wouldn't find. I'm having hallucinations. The wedgie? That came from nowhere? The thing that came from nowhere. Knight e3 maybe. Threatening knight d5. I'm not a huge fan of knight h4. And putting knight on the side of the board voluntarily. I would imagine that white has a significant advantage now, no matter what he plays. Wow, that's clearly best move. Unbelievable. Knight h4 is better than queen d3 or knight e3. Why? Something about just guarding g2. I would have definitely probably gone here. Definitely probably. Okay, there is an advantage. This leaves the e-pawn not protected, so we can't like play f5. So he goes here, keeping f5 on. Knight c6. He still doesn't play f5. He forces a weakness in black camp, g6, and then he plays f5. Take that, bro. So what are you going to do? You're going to take it. I'm going to take with a knight, and then you're going to hit me with like rook d8, and I'm going to sack my queen or something. Oh, there's mate on h7. So this is the problem. Takes, and then we've got little whammy on h7 mate. Very hard to defend h7. This is the only way to do it. And now I suppose he's also got to watch the g2. So white defends that and threatens to discover on the black queen. Bro, seriously? King h8? If you want to be devil's advocate, it loses a bishop. Yeah. It'll lose the bishop on b7 probably. Or knight d, I don't know. Whatever. So, here, 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 here. And now black queen runs out of squares. f4, only square. Oh no. The queen is looking very short of squares. In fact, after g3 it has no squares. Isn't that a coincidence? Yeah, he has to sack a piece. And he doesn't even take it. Like, white can just take and be up the exchange with a theoretical winning position. But after queen takes c5, he just goes queen g4 check. Oof. And that wins even more material. So that was pretty crushing. Wow. Queen g7, knight g7, and it's over. All right. Great game. Something about knight h2 check. Nice one. All right, thanks, Mr. Slow. As always, great submission. We got a whole bunch of games left. That is gone. Delete. Okay. Anon. What is anon again? Did we do that? We did that. That's the same thing. Oh, no. What did I delete? I don't know what I deleted. Did I delete the wrong thing? Daibo, you're still in there. Arsenal fan is in there. The other game I shared with you is better. Oh, you shared 2 games with me. You sent me 2 games. No, the first one is better. All right. Okay, anyway, we're not there yet. Schumacher is not here. Sun Prism may be here. Sun Prism, are you here? Mule Skinner, are you here? Arsenal fan, are you here? Yes. Arsenal fan. Say hi. Arsenal fan's definitely here. So, we're going to go with that. You're always here. Good. Don't go anywhere. This is funny because... You guys ready for this? I just want to point this out. I was joking with Arsenal fan earlier. Expressed affection won by resignation. Bro, nobody ever won by resignation. That's so retarded, you know? It's totally retarded. Has anyone ever seen that? Like, PGN file? Really? Won by resignation? That sounds stupid. It ruins that whole quote. Like, no one ever won by resigning. Yeah, they did, right here, man. I played this game on chess.com, and it says my opponent won by resignation. And you told me I could never win by resigning. Just another reason to hate chess.com. Alright. Never join a chess site made by, like, people who can't play chess. Oh, wait, that accounts for, like, all chess sites. My bad. What if people who actually played chess, designed chess sites. You know the problem with chess.com? It was created to make money. It wasn't created for the love of chess or something like that. That's my problem. All right. Now, we're going to do Arsenal fan. We all win by resigning. You're a winner too, Arsenal fan. Let's see. E4 French. French Tarish. Nigel Short variation. This is, I noticed okay, this is kind of a irrelevantly not important variation. Yeah, I mean, I know they play everything. I saw my teammate play h6. They play it's ridiculous. a6. I mean, but how can moves like h6 and a6 really be good? I prefer a6 definitely than weakening my king side with h6. But bishop e7 is Nigel's original anti-theory keep the tension move. Oh, nice. All right, so here. Now you're blocking your f pawn. Arsenal fan did this against me the other day. The good thing is, he listens because he's blocking his f pawn. After e5. No, here he can't play knight g5 like he did against me. Knight g1. Stop blocking your f pawn. Okay, I don't really know this line. I do know a few things. This is a move. You can play bishop d3. Keep the tension, maybe. Michael Adams, Rockport. Definitely a serious option. Now, the other serious option is consider an alternative here. You play e5 right away. There's other crazy moves, but I mean, this has to be considered. Old Adams games. He didn't have great success against Morozevich there. -1. -2. Okay. So I don't know too much about the theory here. I guess you can even play bishop d3. You've got a bunch of moves. This is just one way to play it. Knight f6, e5, knight fd7. So now you have a choice between what? c3, bishop d3, bishop e2. c4, I guess. Yeah, sure. If you want to. But anyway, the point is c5 is coming. So you got to be prepared to do something about that. Ignore it completely, meet it with c3, try to destroy his center with c4. But I think what you're doing here is absolutely normal. Bishop d3. Black could also play b6. And now, want to get funky? No. We have to support our center. And I mean, this feels like it could turn into some kind of Korchnoi gambit type thing. Now b6 actually has a decent following. Your opponent plays knight c6, the natural move, and then you castled. But I've seen this happen in the French where, black will go psycho. Our Hungarian, men's grandmaster player, Huang Tran, she used to play the French all the time. I remember seeing her do some g5 stuff to people. If you're not expecting it, that type of move can be dangerous. You could castle into an attack or something. Because black's not committed to castling kingside. So when you castle here, I mean, is g5 a serious option? Yeah, it's the second most common move. And that's what your opponent played. So this is not like some off-the-wall idea. This is a serious variation. I'm telling you, Huang Chong played it for sure. And, well, it makes some sense. You're committing yourself, though. I don't know if you should commit yourself to castling. You have no other option, huh? Maybe you have no other option, h4. h4. And go down in flames. That's probably what I would do. Yeah, I mean, knight f1 I thought about. The nice thing about h4 is that it prevents this g5 crap. So let's say we play h4, right? If black continues to put pressure on our pawn, we could play it like a Korchnoi gambit. So Seitlin played this with white. But I mean, this is a little weird, castling with a pawn on h4. Admittedly. This is the problem. The Mark Seitlin beat at 2200 doesn't mean a whole lot. No, it looks like you're committed here. There seems to be a3. a3 if queen b6. We still can't hold the pawn. That might be a better version of the gambit. But anyway, all right, castle, so g5. Here we go. What do? Do we play g4? Not a good idea. I swear I've seen people do this. I swear it. But not the safest tool in the shed. You might get your hand sawed off if you do that. So Arsenal now, with a very rare move, king h1. Making way for ducklings. So the obvious suggestion is h3. The problem is, if h3, obviously h5. And now you kind of have to do g4. And so what's the point? Takes, queen b6. It becomes very hard for us to hold our nugget on d4. So, this is a cool position, man. There's a move. The Evans Gambit. Wow. I see. So the idea is to just counterattack. G4, B5? Is that it? Take. If you can do it, I can do it. Okay, very cool. I never looked at this before. Arsenal fan probably didn't seriously consider knight B1 either. God, that's pathetic. I mean, I guess you could play like knight e1. Also another way of just losing a pawn. Rook e1. Then you lose a knight. So, the vast majority of players here play d takes c5. And this is the accepted continuation. Karyakin and Yudin beat Nakamura. Yudin. And Wrublewski beating Marzevich. Larry drew. So this is accepted as the main line. So if g4, you have a place for mom. And then, now the big question is, what happens if they take the central pawn? Where's our compensation? Knight takes c5, knight takes c5. You're saying, oh, you mean g5 leaves you with a position where your king isn't safe in the long run? Oh, okay, I get it. And then we hang on to this pawn on c5. So, for example, knight takes, queen takes, e5. Oh no. Maybe not black's best move. Matthew Sadler has been studying with Stockfish, or AlphaZero. This looks very AlphaZero-like. Arsenal, you didn't check with AlphaZero. You didn't check with Matthew Sadler. Yeah. So this is total AlphaZero. F6 for black. F4. G takes F4. Bishop takes F4. But Bezuski made it this far. And after E5, he went on to lose anyway. Anyway, that's probably close to kind of perfect play by both sides. Interesting line. So we're going to see a new interpretation. By the way, just to mention here, if you were to put your bishop on e2, because like in all these lines you have this problem, you can never play knight b3, bro, because you're getting forked by c4. So what if you just put the bishop on e2? Like it's a... Here, it's interesting that Levente played this, because he's an expert on the Tarrasch. c5, c3. And now knight c6, what's the point? After castles, say black plays queen b6. See, here's Levente's game, one of Levente's games. You just go knight b3. Screw them, you know. Checkmate. Get out of here, dude. You're trying to checkmate people with the Tarrasch? Alright. King h1. Now h5 is the normal move. Your opponent exchanged on d4. So exchanging on d4 would allow you, maybe knight takes d4. That just loses a pawn. So I'm not really getting why exchanging on d4, the engine doesn't like it. Why does it really matter? Why is it bad? What's the difference? So g4? G4 is your idea. You're going to pick this up. Black has h5. Alright, so this is interesting. King h1, not a new move. And then this is a new move. And now this is going to lead to, obviously, knight there. Although you have to consider knight e1. You want to go here. Or maybe even h3. So everybody's waiting for black to play h5. Then you go back to e2. And you can guard your pawn. He takes this, you take that, and now all hell breaks loose. Now I'm officially, like, scared for black. Because he lost, you know. The position's open, and his rook is facing queen g7. His king is stuck. Maybe he really will get checkmated. Damn. So this looks very good for white now. And this is the point where Arsenal gets overconfident. Right about now. If I'm not mistaken, I just feel the overconfidence exuding out of Arsenal fan at this point. I'm checkmating this guy. He's thinking. Oh, you think the opponent's turn on computer? Oh, we're doing computer checking. Well, I didn't know. Nobody told me we're doing computer checking today. I was doing Guess the ELO before. Now we're analyzing computer games. No, I didn't know that. I might have missed that. I might have missed that memo from the Pentagon. Knight c5. You went to c2. Not a decision I would take lightly here. Where to put my bishop. I have to say, I kind of like b1 better, even though it obstructs the rook. If I look at this, I might see some sort of a4, rook a3 miracle. I don't like my bishop getting attacked. We'll see if this is relevant later. Queen b6. Knight on g to f3. You played on chess.com and then, okay. The opponent might have been cheating. Bishop d7. What, a 1500s? Don't play like this? So far, he's only played like 2250 strength. 24-hour stream. Right? a3, a5. So where's he going to castle? Queen h5, trapping his king in the center. Oh, and he castled there. You played queen h5, not trapping his king in the center. No, the problem is that you didn't know he was a computer. I hate that, you know. You realize too late that it's a computer. Sometimes it's like after the game I realize I played a computer. But at least that's more pleasant, like actually playing the game. You need to realize f5 somehow, you know. If we only played f5... Arsenal fan, can you explain to me why f5 isn't good? I mean, I'm not saying he's like lost, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. The thing is, like, okay, he can castle. And then on f6, you're like crushing him spatially. You have stuff like b4. I don't even want to imagine what happens there. You could attack your queen, but no. So if he does this, he's really in big trouble. So I guess if you played f5 instead of this queen h5, he kind of has to take. You know, he may seriously have to take. You think he has 94 here? Oh my god. Fuck, I could easily blunder that. But it's not so simple. Now there you have an in-between move, don't you? Like knight takes e4 takes. We have all sorts of in-between moves. This is not a problem. f5 looks very strong to me, man. I mean, I think, you know, you play the pawn structure. You play the pawn structure first, and then the tactics follow. You need this f5 break. It's also nice here. He could try to take, and then admittedly, like, that is your good bishop. And you're like, how am I going to checkmate him? Well, you might checkmate him on f7. I think you have an advantage, a pretty serious advantage here. But this is like, oh fuck, he can sack his f-pawn. And if he's a computer, you probably are in trouble now. But I'm not convinced if he's a computer or not. I don't have enough information, but alright, this is a great try. I think you still can try to play f5. I kind of agree with you not grabbing this pawn. But on the other hand, you can try it. Definitely not the safest move. Yeah. No, I like playing for the initiative just as much as you. This is still a possibility. Not as strong as it probably was. b4 is wonderfully tempting. So he's got to take. But the question is, you know, like what happens on knight takes? I thought he would play knight takes. You probably thought he would play knight takes. To be honest, though, I mean, it looks dangerous for black. Computer or no computer. Yeah, you're definitely not sure he's a computer at this point, if he is a computer. Well, queen takes attacks f4, you know? In the event of, like, bishop a3, it's the serious consideration. It is, well, was part of your center. That's exactly what happened. Check on a8 doesn't seem to necessarily do anything. But I have to be honest, like if you see bishop a3, queen takes f4, maybe we shouldn't be playing bishop a3. So this might be an important moment, bro. Like, you have alternatives to bishop a3. But let's just think about this position objectively. You're white. The guy's king is kind of open. You're down a pawn. But do we fundamentally believe that you have compensation for that pawn? The problem is, even here, like rook b1. Rook b1, there is this. But I'm thinking you have some real shit here. What I am worried about is this now. Hitting this loose bishop. That's really annoying. How do we protect that bishop? You're going to be playing something really stupid now. I don't know. Knight e1? Like, what are we doing? I'm not taking f4 there. I don't think rook b1 is good either. We need a good move here. Bishop a3, queen f4. What's the follow-up? This bishop's on f4. I like that. You know, that defends f4. What we need is a good move. We need a good alternative to bishop a3. Any suggestions? f5 anyway? This needs to be considered. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? He goes here, and we move our bishop back to b1 or something. That loses a rook. Alright, never mind. What's the worst thing that can happen? We lose a rook. Well, we have a check. Alright, what I have to look at the engine now. It's a very subtle position. f5 is best, and the move I couldn't find, rook a2. Defending that, the mystery of defending this. Rook a2 is really hard to find. f5 is not so hard to find. Your move is apparently okay, but I didn't see how we can make this work. At this point, I'm starting to be like, oh shit, you know, where's my pawns? Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe you're onto something. A second pawn sacrifice. Okay, we go for the c file. But g3 is not. You're not serious about that move. There's 0% chance I'm playing g3 here. Like, Is your queen trapped? I mean, why are we playing g3? Why did the chicken cross the road? You thought it was trapped. That's a good reason to play g3. But I just see queen e3 and queen c3. Queen e3, queen c3. g3 weakens your king side. And you're 2 pawns down. You might need to play g3 at some point, with the g file half open and stuff. No, I can't play anybody. So I think the c file here. So really tempting is like rook fc1. It doesn't matter how many pawns down you are. You have compensation. I can't believe the engine thinks g3 is the best move. Wow. I would not play that. It looks scary. You're making it possible for him to have like this later on. I just don't see the need to play that, but okay, fine. It's apparently okay. Queen e3, rook e1, queen c3, as expected. Now there. Okay, fine. You're still fine. Queen a5. Is that really his only move? Why doesn't he go back to e3? What is this? Is he stupid or something? You're telling me he has a choice between queen a5 and queen e3, and he goes to a5 in this position? Yeah. No. He's not using the computer for all the moves. You're definitely going here. I mean, anybody normal under any normal circumstances is playing queen e3. And if you offer a draw, I'm taking it, probably. Alright, I had enough. It's weird enough. Alright, draw is fine with me. If it was me, I'd be like, alright, yeah, it's really unclear. But this move is like, dude's nuts. He's nuts. Queen a5. That's crazy. Extremely dangerous move. So you have knight b3 potentially, or bishop takes and knight b3. But here's a huge concession coming up. You need to calculate more, Too much intuition makes Jack a dull boy. How's the time? Doesn't show the time, of course, because it's imported from chess.mom. This is a huge concession, though. You're not going to get the dark square bishop back, and now he has more of like a safety net on the dark squares. So you better have something good here. Otherwise, I don't like the capture. I mean, you're 2 pawns down. If you don't win by attack, you're screwed. You hung a piece now? No. But should we consider taking? Because, ultimately, I'm afraid you're going to, end up trading pieces anyway. I guess you didn't like this, probably. Wonder why. Okay. Queen takes f7, hitting e7. Rook e8. So now we'll see if he's a computer. If he defends this, perfectly, using no time, yeah, maybe he was a computer. So he finds the only defensive move here. I agree, probably most people would play this rook. Not necessarily, though. Alright. Maybe he has a 40% chance of finding this. It does give him some knight d8. It's not so stupid. Okay. Here, bishop takes c6. So you finally did it. You don't really have a lot of other options. He takes to the bishop. 2 knights. You grab a pawn with check. I'm not sure if you should. You can hold that in reserve. Dude, don't you have rook takes c6 check? Damn, dude. You're close to like Fallujah level tactics here. Rook takes c6. B takes c. This is awfully close. Nothing here. It's a draw. Damn. So, you took the pawn. This is also okay. King c7. Oh, God, dude. Took on d5. So, knight d4 isn't possible. Or is it? Oh, no. What about knight d4? You have rook takes b7 check. Ouch, ouchie. This is a beautiful move, you know. Because when he takes here, you smack him with rook takes b7 check. I don't know if it's enough, but it looks fun. King takes, queen takes check, king a7. And now, unfortunately, your rook can't go to a1. But I think it's safe to assume you have at least a draw. It's a draw. No, but I mean, you know, this is a very... I'm just going to call it a slightly dangerous move. You're going to have to sack the exchange now. It's too late to sacrifice the exchange now. You did this to yourself. I'm not taking the pawn, and I warned you about g3 like, you know, 16 moves ago. This is like self-fulfilling prophecy. You started with g3, but taking this pawn on d5 is totally unnecessary. You got to find something else. But even having said that, you still have a chance to sack the exchange here, no? It's not too late to do this. It's still a draw, looks like. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this guy's suspicious or not. I mean, he's way too good for his rating, obviously. Whether or not he's a computer is another story. As always, like, I play people who are 1500 and they play like they're 2200. Well, that's probably because it's his roommate who's 2200, not necessarily he's a computer. But, yeah, I mean, you did it to yourself, and now this is obviously a problem. And it's over. Brutal. Still, it was an interesting game. I've got games left from Schumacher, Sun Prism. Is anyone here? You can't settle for draw. That's irrational. Sorry. Draws are, you know, a third of chess results, and it's a huge part of the game. Without draws, chess would suck, by the way. And it's something that people don't appreciate. Without draw being a part of the game, it would really suck. You know, it would just suck. And leveraging draws, the threat of the draw, is an important element of the game. It's ridiculous to be like, draw, I don't want to draw. It's like, I hear that a lot from people, you know, some good players too. Not just weak players, but it's still, it's like bullshit, you know. If it's a draw, it's a draw. You guys played a good game, whatever. What's the problem? It can be a great game and be a draw. All right, so Sun Prism, e4, e6. You're black. d4, d5 here. French. Another French. It's French day. My guesstimation would be that it's a player who's, you know, got someone else playing for them than whoever established their rating. It didn't feel like a computer necessarily. Though it's very hard to tell anymore. A3. Yes. But some prism, what's up with queen b6? I don't know. I want to stay away from this queen b6. Better to stay away from queen b6. I would prefer the other variations. It's up to you. Okay. Anyway, they played a3. Now you got all this Ullman stuff with like c4. Millions of like terabytes of variations. Don't get sucked in. The rabbit hole. What if aliens are really like controlling AI? All right, anyway. A3. Yeah, okay. Well, it's not forced. So I like knight h6. I don't know. I like knight h6, I guess. You know? But it might transpose. I also don't like c4. So knight h6 or bishop d7 can transpose. But this one right away, this line, I don't know too much here. So there's d takes c5. If d takes c5, what do? Do you play queen c7? Did we see a game like this once before? Yeah. Okay, I don't know. It's playable. It's a line. I'm not a French expert. Here, it's a line. So b4 is probably going to transpose. That's what he did. You're going to transpose now. Fine. Takes, knight f5. This I know a little bit. So then, yeah, this is like old school advanced variation. Bishop e3 or bishop e2. Gary Lane on the advanced French. So, I don't know anything about move orders. I do know that he can't move his knight to d2 because d4 is under pressure. If you play bishop d7, you have the idea of going knight a5. That's the only game I remember seeing in this line, where my friend Kosic played this Turkish grandmaster Haznet Daraglu in a GM tournament we played in, and Dragan was able to use this knight a5 idea against bishop on b2. This is also okay though. I mean, bishop here, you give yourself knight h4. However, yeah, you have no way to take on d4. So the other thing about this is that, you know, on bishop d3, you're taking this pawn, right? So he has to do the g4 crap. But the thing is, like, I don't know if g4 is really good because he's kind of overextending himself. I think that you should not be afraid of this. Don't be afraid of this. I would prefer bishop d7. The statistics are really clear on it. It looks like it's clearly better. I think that's what happened in that game I was talking about somehow. I don't remember where he went. No, this is a threat now to play knight a5. In some point. been played here by Hari Krishna. But I don't know if you need to like preface that with like rook c8 or, you know, under what circumstances should you do it. I also don't know like on g4 if you go back to e7. This is apparently like, looks like it's more of a main line. There's a lot of questions I don't know. Okay, bishop e7, bishop e2. Now bishop d7. Good. Good. No rush to castle. Shirov wouldn't mind overextension. Tell me about it. I just looked at a game today. He was playing white in 1995 against Gelfand in the Najdorf. Well, what happens sometimes in those positions, Arsenal fan, is that the bishop gets trapped. You have to be careful you don't get your bishop trapped with like g5 by white, but that's not going to happen here because of this bishop being on b2. There's nothing protecting g5. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a game today. It was 95. Shirov, of course, like, just totally, like, overextended himself and got destroyed with white. Gelfand is, like, a brutal computer. I love the way he plays the black side of Najdorf. Or played. Now it's harder. People know how to play with white better. Yeah, so you played knight h6. True, okay. Like knight h4. No reason not to play this. Yeah, there might be some crazy instances where the knight would move, you know, but not really here. And now there's no g5 to trap your guy. So the only way it can go wrong is f4 and g5. Check out this position. A game for 2003. Black played f6. Speaking of overextension. Okay. Anyway. So you played knight h6. g4, knight h6. Arguably, yeah, probably not as good as knight h4. So now you got into a situation where you basically have to play f6. Your only other option is play knight g8, and looks awkward. Someone on sound would play pawn takes pawn. Any g5, anybody? So now we got Geller playing white. Geller played queen d2 here. And then everybody's expecting knight c3 now. But loses a pawn. So, can't lose a pawn. No, it doesn't lose a pawn. Why doesn't he play knight c3? There's knight a4 plus, you know, he sort of inhibits e5 by putting pressure on d5. I have a choice, okay? My choices are knight c3 or king f1. Now, what are you going to play? I don't think it's a difficult call, really. Like, what is king f1, bro? Why would he do that? This is such a weird move. I mean, yeah, speaking of Shirov, why would anybody want to commit themselves to king f1 when they don't have to? When knight c3 is such a good move. It's not like he's winning or something, but I mean, dude, your knight is only one square. It's a minor piece, needs to be developed. You could even castle queenside conceivably. You got to play knight c3. I mean, this move is just lame. And now you castle kingside, which also is a difficult call. But I like your control of the center. I mean, I like this. Your pawn, you know, your pawns could work out. I'm not sure you want to commit to castling kingside either, you know? No, that's still a threat. But at this point, I don't know. I don't know what to suggest. Castles kingside, okay. Definitely an option. But I think you should also consider other options. This, obviously. I mean, I guess he has queen h6. But Arsenal fan's opponent is not afraid to castle queenside here. I mean, if you consider the game we just looked at, which was also a French, castling queenside is definitely an option. But I think the timing is important, obviously. So if I go here and I'm threatening knight e4, for example, knight c3, knight e4, knight e4, pawn e4, well, where's his knight going? He's going to, like, spaskify you with, like, knight h4. I kind of like black better here. Black seems pretty compact. You know, as long as I'm not seeing, like, knight a4, knight c5 on my face, like a alien spaceship or something. And the other point would be, like, if you go here and he does something like that, you just get out of there, you know, castle queenside. I mean, it could get sharp. But I believe in black's position. Black is better. Alright, anyway. So you played knight f7, king f1, castle's kingside. Now, maybe it's okay. I mean, you have this, right? So, how do you like that, bro? But, I mean, this is double-edged. Like, what are you going to do about his bishop on b2? So he played g5. I don't mind that. I don't think that... I'm not sure that's even a good move for white. I have to ask the question again. Why the fuck does this guy not play knight to c3? I don't understand. How can he not play knight to c3? Wow, knight e5, Arsenal fan. Speaking of... knight e5 for black, you mean? You like, for example, knight c3, knight e5. I love this. Nothing could possibly go wrong here. But he doesn't play that. He plays that. You take. He takes. Okay, fine. And then you played rook g8. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to play rook g8, but Arsenal fan will find you a tactic. This is pretty strong. The g6 is pretty strong. Yeah, if you only had like one more tempo. I don't really like this. All you need is like bishop e8, you know, one more. It's understandable that you played what you played now. No, g6 doesn't work because he's covering this. The idea is to bring the other rook over to f8, presumably. We still have good plans like knight d6. We still have bishop e8. But get the other rook in the game. And white kind of like walks into that. I think white was overconfident here. The thing that strikes me the most is his failure to move the knight on b1. Like white just does not have any appreciation of fundamentals. He's really focused on like checkmating black. But meanwhile, he has three pieces that haven't moved practically. Now the queen is pinned to the pawn. So rook g7 will hold. You could play it right away. You played this first, which is a good move. Here, and obviously rook g7. Now white has no way to break you down. And you can complete your Botvinnikian, you know, defensive strategy with like bishop e8. Black is very well coordinated. So finally the guy still doesn't move his knight. Did someone pay him to not move his knight? Like, what is wrong with this guy? He cannot move his knight. That's a good move though. I think it's time to consider knight e4, but yep, There he comes. Ta-da! Like that. Mr. Slow would definitely checkmate black here with queen takes h7. Can't go knight e4. Bishop h7 is a threat. What about rook takes f3, dude? That knight is hanging. Christ. I mean, I admit this is rather uncomfortable. It's a tight fit. It's a little too uncomfortable. That sucks. So bishop d3, and you had to go here, but it's a good enough move. That's fine. Speaking in the quotes. So that's nice to see that bishop leave the board. And then finally he moves his knight to d2. Yeah, because he had to protect his other knight. Now his knights are redundant, and this is still not open. And now someone unsound. Some person goes with the queen. I mean, white will be eventually threatening stuff like rook e1. Your white square bishop is important. Interesting game this was. I like this game. Okay, check. What? You gotta be kidding me. Wow, he had to? Oh my god, he had to go there. Oh, fuck. Well, he's way more fucked than I thought. This is just over. Yeah, I thought I don't know, I thought he could go to the G file or something, but that's crazy. Yeah, he has to go here. He has to go to E1. What are you going to do, like checkmate him with bishop E5? He's got no light square. He's got no light square bishop. Wait, where's his light square bishop? Queen D3, rook C1, last ditch attempt to attack you with rook C3. We're just grabbing the knights. You just grab his knights. Give me your knights. He's got rook c3. This is complicated, but you're probably winning. So instead, we went here. A calm and collected move. Right. And then there's a very, very serious threat of rook g1 check. So does white have a defense now? He apparently does. Yeah, but here, I think I missed something. You just annihilate him with rook g2, game over. Serious, and you didn't play it? Oh no. So rook g2 is just total collapse. For some reason, you got excited and played knight takes d4. You did an Arsenal fan, like taking that pawn. There's no way I'm taking that pawn. You can't pay me to take that pawn. That pawn is my best friend. It's ops-colored bishops. I mean, I get it that you probably wanted to free up your b5 square. I mean, you got to consider this, right? There's a problem with this back rank here. Yeah. You don't want to give up e5. You don't want to give up b8. So you just missed the obvious move. Rook g2. There's no way. He's dead. That just ends the game immediately. Are you serious? He has a defense? Queen h3? No. He can't play queen h3. Queen h3, check. Knight f1. Are you freaking kidding me? we have queen e4 check. That was a lot to calculate. That could have been a little bit much to calculate. This move looks very dangerous. Bishop d4, queen d4. Yeah, it was a bad practical decision, at best, for you to do that. Because now he still has some glimmer of hope. Oh! That's not a glimmer of hope. He had a glimmer of hope. And probably you're safer on the white squares, just for your info. I would stick to white squares in this kind of position. Anyway, white's lost. All right, good game. Yeah. And the rest was a matter of technique, as they say. Very good. All right, guys, we got a couple games left. Mule Skinner and Daibo. But I think that's going to be it for today. I'm fading here. It's been a relatively long stream. That's not too bad. Pretty normal, actually. We got air conditioning. We had a follow from Tuna God. We had a couple follows. Follow back a ways. Bra Pug and follow from, yeah, what did I just say? Tuna God. God of tuna. Neptune is the tuna god. So now I've got Mule Skinner. Arsenal fan did that. Been there. Alright, Daibo. Mule Skinner's not here. Is he? If Mule Skinner's not here, I'll do Daibo game first. Just wait. Are you here, Mule Skinner? You're the same AC? I got AC for the first time in 15 years in my office. Global warming is real. You're in a meeting. Well, alright, then I'll do the other game. So this is Mule Skinner against Javier. 14-15. Okay. Mule Skinner just playing too many low-rated players. Mule Skinner is what? 1800? 1800 FIDE. Oh no, Arsenal fan. You might want to check. Take a break. Alright, we got the Mule Skinner. I like this. The Mule Skinner. He calls himself the Mule Skinner, like third person. And then Francisco Javier. All right, e4, c6, d4, d5. You know, the other day I started. We see a Panov coming up, but you know, if you play the Panov this way, like c4 first, take, take, take. I find this. Look at the statistics here. 35% against 23%. I think it's interesting to delay d4 if you want to play the Panov anyway. Something, you know, there are disadvantages. Like, okay, if I play c4, once I had a game with Hikaru where he played like e5 against me, but this is not considered to be. It was a blitz game where, you know, the game where he knocked over all the pieces and got a draw with like king against my king and queen that will live in infamy. This line isn't considered so great, you just have to know. You know, it's not exactly a Caro-Kann. Anyway, d4, fine. But after d5 takes, there's the g6 line is pretty good, man. So black has a pleasant choice between g6 and like knight c6. I just don't even see a case for playing e6, you know? Look at the score. It's like, there it is in black and white. The Panov is only good for white if black plays e6. If black plays anything else, white isn't doing that great. It's not true. The g6 also seems to have a decent score. Black still does better there. Of the three moves, the best score for white is against e6. This is my least favorite for black. It can transpose to a Nimzo, but it's inherently passive. So these setups are much more active for black, where black can play g6. And I can't find an advantage here for white after queen b3. I don't know where it is, but if you see it, let me know, okay? If you can find an advantage for white in these lines where black like temporarily sacrifices this pawn on d5, let me know where it is. Maybe I'll have to look a little deeper. Anyway, e6, knight f3. Another move I've played around with, which is kind of rare, is a3. If you happen to know that your opponent likes to play like Nimzo type lines, you could mess with them by playing a3 here. Was it Gashimov? Has a couple games. Knight f3. And now, yeah, black has to play bishop e7. You know what's funny? Like 99% of my opponents play knight c6 here. Well, no, bishop e4 or bishop e7. You have to pick one or the other. But I get so many people who go here. It's a bad line for black. Anyway, all right. So bb4 is more active. This is the classical move. Here you have a choice. CD or bishop d3. And now, I guess black can take with the pawn. Maybe it's just a little bit passive, but normally they take with a knight. So it's like Kamsky-Karpov candidates match. I don't know why we're not coming up with Kamsky-Karpovs. Maybe the move order was slightly different. Alright, e takes. I have faced with the bishop on b4. I have not faced it here, to my recollection. So now, it's basically like a weird double exchange French. White should be slightly better. But I'm not really sold on the bishop e5 check. There must be a reason for that move. I guess it's queen b3. So you bishop check and then queen b3. You hit d5. It's a little bit like it's like a Marshall variation of the French. So we're gonna go here, I think. But I'm not sure. Bishop d7. So apparently this has been played. It's not refuted. I was expecting queen b3. But if you look at statistics, bishop takes d7 is also played. So bishop takes d7, knight takes d7. That's what happens. So what are we going to do here? Sveshnikov, Gingy, 1977. Draw. Well, the wolf would later beat him in the same line. Check. Knight b takes. You know, now the obvious move is queen b3 because it's double attack. Adams managed to beat Granda Zuniga. But I mean, it looks like the kind of position where black can probably sack a pawn. Queen b6. Knight takes d5. Knight takes d5. Queen takes d5. Knight f6. Queen e5. Castles. Castle, castle. This is not going to be an easy game for white to win. Even up a pawn. And that's the worst case scenario. But this seems to be the main move. So Adams, Granda Zuniga. a4. Castles. Yeah, white has this Karpovian micro edge. Anyway, I don't know. I would think about very seriously Queen b3. This might be a slight improvement. It feels like, from my perspective, it feels like we're helping black develop when we play bishop takes d7 check. Why not? Is knight c6 a question? Is this a question? So, one of Laszlo Vadaj's last games, probably 2000. Sveshnikov beating Meduna in 1983. So he's just castled. And Meduna castled. And Sveshnikov took the pawn and went on to win. Takes, takes, takes. Bishop g4. This looks kind of familiar. Takes, takes, takes. What's the evaluation here? Slightly better for white. Pawn up. I like Queen b3. Let's see this again. Castles. Castles. Knight takes d5. So there's an improvement here. Knight takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes d5. And black's Meduna's bishop g4 is no good. So this is best for black. Black should be able to hold with something more constructive. Bishop g4 was bad. Anyway, little theoretical investigation there. So we got knight takes here. We're playing like Michael Adams, or what? Castles, bishop f4. So normally queen b3. Then black will play knight b6. We go here instead. Well, it's possible black will play queen b6. There's some guy here who I've only heard of who played queen a5. I mean, this is kind of a weird move, man. Feels like black should have a lot of options and the game should be equal. This is not the easiest position to play against the 1400. But any endgame, they should be toast. So they played a6, stopping knight b5, putting the pawns on the right color. a6 is not a bad move. And then queen b3, double attack. Black's in a very awkward spot now. That's less well protected. This is huge. He's trying to play maybe knight c4. But what are we going to do? Rook e1? You played a4, threatening a5. Okay. This is also possible. Threatening rook takes e7. Maybe not a big deal. Like black will just play rook e8. So a4 looks more critical. Black plays bishop d6. Looks like he's losing a pawn, but we can get our queen trapped. So we have a huge decision now. Bishop g3, bishop e5, bishop g5, bishop takes d6, all of the above. If you take and you try to play a5, you're going to get your queen trapped on b7. So that's no good. So this ties black down to f6. Looks good. He goes back. And then rook e1. And now h6. And now we have to move. So bishop h4. And now rook b8. Guarding the b7 pawn. Yeah, black's position looks suspicious. We also have knight e5. Oh, you just had rook takes c7. Nice. So that's game. So rook b8 is the final straw. Black cannot afford rook b8. So he has to sack a pawn. I mean, don't be materialistic, bro. Knight c4 or something. It's pretty bad, though. You still have rook e7? Oh my god, because he has this. So knight c4 is no good. Wow. It's really, like, already lost for black. Amazing. So after a4, hard to keep it together, but maybe knight c4 right away. I'm not going to care about sacrificing the pawn on b7. That was a mistake by black. After rook b8, yeah, you're easy winning. It's unfortunate to fix his pawn structure. I don't know, maybe white can be more patient here with like queen b3. He can play g5. This is a major win for black, though, in terms of improving his pawn structure. If you trade on f6, we don't want to do that then. h3, g3, here, and there it goes. And now rook c2. Can we save the pawn? Should we save the pawn? b3. I don't want to get mated on h1, h2 with two rooks on g1, and white can play h4 at some point and then carve this square out to get his king up here. Black actually forced him to play h4. And that's an annoying move. But we can get out now. King up, king up. This looks easy enough. Too much material. Way too much material. Yeah. It's over. Good game. Yeah, he was dreaming of that mate on h1. Alright, Mule Skinner, nice performance. And then our final game. Okay, so you're white. You're 2,000. Your opponent is 2,000. And the time control is 1 minute. Unfortunately, this is a very fast game. But we'll do what we can. I'm going to treat it like any other game. But bullet is not recommended. I mean, you really should play... you should play at least 5. At least 3. But, alright, d5. So you're sharing the beauty. That's fine. Chess is different. It's a different thing for different people. The element of beauty in chess. I also like knight f3. Black plays queen d8. So I just don't get why people play this, you know? Honestly. It seems like queen a5 and even queen d6 are probably better. You couldn't sell me. You could not sell me on the advantage of queen d8. Alright, for a very brief thing. And now e6. I've had people play like this against me. And, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like a French Rubinstein. So it's odd it's kind of odd that both you and the one game here went bishop c4. Because, the diagonal is dead. Now, one thing is that if you do achieve d5 in this kind of structure, it's often very effective. But usually black will play c6, like Scandi, whatever. And it's hard to actually play d5. So this is certainly not a bad move. But I have to say, first of all, it's much more natural to play d4. I don't think that anybody should be afraid of stuff like this Nimzo style thing. I don't think that's really right. If that's anyone's hesitation, if there's any reason that people are hesitating here to play d4, I mean, d4 should be white's best move, clearly. Now, on the other hand, you can play this in the normal Scandinavian. It feels a little odd to play it with the pawn already on e6. But you could play anything. I mean, you could play this and play like d3 if you want to. But, all right. So black plays super passive c6. But, I mean, also logical. I just want to mention one other thing. Another alternative is g3. Absolutely nothing wrong with g3. Like, you can play g3 versus g2. He'll probably play c6. But it's a good King's Indian. It's a pretty good King's Indian for white. Black doesn't have the strong point on d5. I think that white is always better. That's an alternative. Or you could play the Grob. Bishop c4. c6. Now, a safety move. Probably not optimal. You'll have to watch out for the knight hunting it down. And you will have to play d4. So let's say black played knight d7. I think you have to stop this. You don't have to, but I mean, I think you should stop it. You've spent a lot of time developing that bishop. That's a really bad move by black. This move literally sucks. And, any number of moves are good here. Queen e2, castles, d4. d4 is fine. It seems like an odd moment to play d4 while you're pinned. If you don't want to commit to castling, you could play queen e2. This also wouldn't commit to d3 or d4. This is definitely a good move. Anyway, d4 is fine. And he takes unprovoked. Terrible. So now it's like a French where you have, It's like a French where you have potential crushing pressure. But on the other hand, the bishop's so good on this diagonal, I don't want to even put my bishop on a3 because it's too good on this diagonal. So knight f6. Now, you can castle. I also was considering this, but maybe we're a little bit concerned about this type of stuff, where he's going to go bishop a6. I think you should probably just castle. I think kingside is forced now because you've done this with your structure. You shouldn't be ever castling queenside. So I think the truth is you should just castle and be done with it. c4 is fine. It's a tiny bit, again, maybe it's a little bit weird because you got your bishop on b3. But, okay, if you can push in with d5, if you can rip it open with d5, that could be killer. You could also play c5, possibly in another c4. You have a huge advantage here. I really don't like that you're not castling here. I understand it's bullet, but this king should castle kingside in this structure, in this type of position where you have doubled c-pawns. You have such a big advantage. There's no even second thought. This is a slow move, kind of unnecessary. Castles is a no-brainer. C3 is not bad, but it's unnecessarily slow. I see you might come back to this diagonal. That's what you did immediately. I still like castling. And now, for example, bishop a6. Might enable black a little bit of play. Your best bet, I'm not sure. Maybe you shouldn't even defend the pawn on c4. You can play knight e5. I don't know how good it is, though. Like, say he goes here, you take this pawn, black goes queen c7. This is kind of weird, you know? I mean, I'm not really sure what's going on here. Your king is in the center of the board. You know, and you should castle. You should castle even before c4. This is first priority. Your rook has a great file. You have everything. And you're still going to attack him. Castle c3, b6, bishop c2, a5. a5 is like, does this guy think he has all day? I mean, he has to play bishop a6. There's literally like no other good plan. a5 is way too slow. And at this point, well, everything's good. If you really, I don't know. I mean, you could probably play h4, rook h3, rook g3, and have an attack. But I mean, here's another thing you could do. You could go like postal on him with g4. You know, his position is so bad you could literally play g4, and I'm quite confident that you have absolute full compensation. Plus 0.8. If you insist on not castling, you know, a5 is a terrible move. Too slow. And now, he's tied down to h7. But the thing is, right, your threat is to go here, pin his knight. He has another knight. So if he plays bishop a6, you go bishop g5, he goes knight d7. Now you have knight e5, no. You have knight e5? No. So how do you plan on finishing him off here? Because black is going to play like b5, probably. It's not that simple, you know? I don't think it's that simple. Let's see. Wow. So it turns out bishop g5 is a big mistake. You can go immediately with knight g5 there, in that case. Alright. Queen d3. The computer doesn't like bishop a6 because of knight g5. Yeah, I wasn't sure. This is a good move, though, for him, knight d7. You play queen d3. This is a horrible move. I mean, I get it that it shuts down your queen, but that's the, you know, you're going from grandmom's house to the Wicked Witch in like one move. I mean, no more gingerbread cookies, bro. That's, here you're like, you're feeling some pain, and here you're like already dead. It's just like you're dying of something different, you know? You have like a minor, you know, heart condition, and this is like you know, you're already like in the morgue. So the dark squares are fatally weakened after g6. I would never play this move unless it was absolutely the only choice. And it's not. He could play rook e8, you know, even. Just for kicks and giggles. Black could try to defend with some sort of Korchnoi-esque. If you got really desperate, you could always like run away for black and sacrifice the h7 pawn, you know, try to get out here with king e7. So I just think that g6 is an atrocity. I'm picking this game Game apart. Bishop g5. Yeah. Now it's crushing. Here. h4. Justified. Queen c7. h5. That's it, man. Completely justified. Black doesn't have any moves anymore. That's definitely not a move. So anyone suggestions? Well, okay, his bishop's doing nothing. Let's just play bishop a6. That's got to be better than... I don't even understand what knight takes h5 does. Rook takes h5. f6. This is his idea. That doesn't work. Now, you could just retreat your bishop, for example, and be totally winning. But you found the Mr. Slow like rook takes h7. Very nice. And they showered the board with gold coins. f5 is like forced. And you played rook h3. Maybe this is better. Okay, this is splitting hairs now. You're totally winning. You have this. Another interesting move you have is rook e7. You have a lot of good moves. Okay, it's a bullet game. Good game. Bishop a6. For a bullet game, this was a good game. You played pretty well. I'm not a huge fan of bishop h6. I think you should get him on the h file. So this is the moment to castle queenside, I would assume. If there was ever a moment to castle queenside, this is probably it. You did it on the next move. But bishop h6 clogs your h file, you know. How are you going to checkmate him on the h file with bishop on h6? That was a little bit inconsistent. And you can't play knight g5 well. I mean, you can, but it blocks this defense too. So bishop h6 was a waste of time here. And then you went back. Right. Exactly. And then rook g7. All right. Now, check here, winning a rook. Bishop takes d8. And then knight g5. And the mate. And Asterbait, nice mate. Well, anyway, I don't like bullet chess, but you're playing bullet chess in a correct way, where you're trying to play like a good game, and that's cool. That's fine. So, yeah, not a lot of substance. Black played badly. Black played badly. I agree, but there's still stuff to take away from it. All right, guys. Stream tomorrow, midday. Now I've got air conditioning. I'm going to get a good night's sleep without like 37-degree heat. Thanks for the gift subs today. Asterbait getting with the gift subs. And Mr. Slow with a huge donation to support the stream. Bringing us up to 1,246.90. Somebody else donated. Mr. Slow, for real. Fixed it. I didn't even realize it. I don't know why my air conditioner started making noises when I talked about it. That's really strange. Don't trust these electronic devices. They're all controlled by AI. Mr. Slow, for real. He said I was going to do it again, and he did. He brought us up to 1246.90, making it extra random. Thanks everybody for support. We will see you tomorrow, and again Sunday, Simul Sunday, back to a normal schedule. We love you all.